everyone should have a nationality. Unfortunately, there are up to 12 million people around the world today who do not have any nationality at all. What this means is that they are pushed to the margins of society, subject to discrimination, and this has a devastating impact on people's lives. Without having a legal existence anywhere, people are unable to send their children to school, to work legally, to have access to health care. Some people cannot even get a birth certificate for their children or a death certificate. People cannot marry. So you can see how over time this can have a devastating impact on people's lives, a major impact on their psychological health. What we've seen is that if we don't do anything about statelessness, it has an impact not only on the individuals concerned, approximately 12 million people around the world, but it also has a major impact on societies as a whole, because you're leaving people out of this development process. And in extreme cases, you can see as well that people are forced to flee across borders, so they become refugees. And we've seen also that in some cases this is a root cause of conflict. Statelessness is sometimes a cause of forced displacement and of conflict, because frequently what we've seen is that an entire population is targeted based on who they are, language, religion, ethnicity. And in some cases people are stripped of their nationality, their documents are taken away from them, and they're expelled from the country, becoming refugees. This is exactly what happened to the Faili Kurds in Iraq, who were stripped of their nationality under Saddam Hussein and expelled to Iran, becoming refugees there. We've also seen that when statelessness goes on for quite a long time, it can become a root cause of armed conflict, and we've seen a number of cases in sub-Saharan Africa where statelessness has been one factor that's caused conflict. Over the last several decades, we've seen that one of the most significant causes of statelessness is state succession, the breakup of states, the formation of new states, and this has led to statelessness because sometimes people are left out of the body of citizens of these new states. These people are stateless. Children are particularly vulnerable to statelessness, and in fact the problem frequently begins from the moment a child is born. This is for the very simple reason that in most countries around the world, nationality is acquired based on the nationality of the parents. So if the parents are stateless, then the child will also become stateless, and the problem is self-perpetuating, passed on from generation to generation. This problem is also found when the parents may possess nationality, but for different reasons the child cannot acquire that nationality. And this is a particular problem in about 30 countries around the world, specifically with regard to women, because in those 30 countries, women cannot confer nationality on their children, only men can. So if the father is stateless or cannot confer nationality for whatever reason under the law of his state, and the child cannot acquire the nationality of his or her mother, the child is left stateless. Counting stateless people is inherently difficult because these people live on the margins of society in many cases without documentation. Frequently they don't want to come forward and be counted. Governments also may not want to count people on their territory. As a result of that, there are certain gaps in our statistical data. However, when we take the official figures that are available, and we also count countries for which we know there are very large populations, but for which we do not yet have official data, we come to a figure of about 12 million people. Legal reform is a major part of solutions to statelessness. You use nationality law to prevent statelessness and also to resolve it. Yeah. But obviously international law and national law is only a first step. We really need to see implementation of existing standards. The first step is to get countries to sign on to the international conventions on statelessness. One is all about prevention and reduction of statelessness. The other is all about the protection of the human rights of stateless persons. And that's the first step. After that, you need to look at ensuring that states' legal frameworks are in line, and then we need to see implementation so that individuals can benefit from what laws say. UNHCR wants to see a series of actions taken by governments to address statelessness. First of all, we want governments to sign on to a common set of rules to prevent and reduce statelessness and to protect the rights of stateless persons. We want to see nationality laws brought into line with international standards so that people do not become stateless to begin with. For example, we want to see all women to be able to confer nationality on their children so that the children are not left stateless. We want to see creative solutions adopted at the national level so that people who are currently stateless can acquire a nationality. And finally, we want to see stateless persons treated with dignity and respect until such time as they're able to acquire nationality.